These days, everyone seems to have an opinion about what a healthy habit or coping skill you could use could be. However, some people live it. And when people live it and tell their story, I tend to listen to them a little bit more closely than somebody who might just be making a video based on an article that they read one time and spends most of their life online. So, that being said, I'm going to be interviewing Carrie Asby. And one of the reasons I chose her as a guest is her extensive experience as well as diverse certifications. So she has done retreats all around the world, environmental jobs, volunteered. She's worked on sustainable fashion. She's done a lot of yoga, and a lot of it in public places such as Central Park in New York, and doing yoga in the park in Portland, Oregon, and other places as well. And she's done a lot of diverse certifications, such as ecotherapy certification and different yoga certifications. And my personal observation is when I meet somebody that really practices what they preach and they put it into their daily life, they have a lot of good insights, even on some of these coping skills or ideas for wellness that seem to be common sense. I mean, right now, a lot of people in our society, we seem to know the right answer, but it's hard to get ourselves to do the thing for our body or our mind or our relationship that we know is the right thing to do. So let's hear what Carrie has got to say. I think you're going to enjoy this interview. All right, welcoming Carrie Asby to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I want to delve into your interests, as I do believe, the work you've done personally can affect how you help people, whether they be clients or people in your lives or, or whatever they are, or patients if you're a doctor and all of that. So in your situation, we've read your bio, so we know you have quite a diversity of experience in your life and lots of different certifications, whether it be from yoga or wellness, coaches, chakras, ecotherapy. You've done a lot of environmental work, traveled, done retreats. All of that stuff is there. So I kind of want to get into a little bit about maybe just a little bit about mindfulness. And I'm going to ask you about, how you got interested in ecotherapy, which is similar, but not the same.
Sure. So mindfulness actually is what really turned my life around. And I won't go into that story today, but I had a moment where I was in my rock bottom moment, and I was actually turned to a yoga teacher, which is a mindful practice, and it started to create new habits for me that were really helping me take care of myself and get me down a wellness path. And there was this one day I was walking down the streets of San Francisco and I feel so good. I just was like, I felt so alive. And it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to share. If I can feel this good, I have to share it with others. So that got me down the path of mindfulness, studying it, teaching it, passing it on. And then I'm going to fast forward to the pandemic, 2020. I was living in New York City, and I got kind of a heads up that if things go really, when COVID hits New York City, it's not, well, first of all, it's not if, it's when, and when it does, it's going to be really horrific. And a friend of mine does analytical work, and he says, promise me you'll be super safe. And so when COVID was coming our way, I actually got the second to last rental car off of New York City, off of Manhattan, and got out before everything turned into the epicenter that it was. And so then I had this rental car and I didn't know what to do. So I drove all the way across the United States to be with my parents in Oregon. And I want to clarify really quick. I do love my parents. And I see them for who they are. And I actually have a really great relationship with them right now. However, my parents were raised by people who had bad habits, who probably their parents had bad habits. It's that generational cycle where they pass on habits. And it happened to my parents. And I didn't grow up in a household with lots of love, support, lots of just that comfort that you get from family. And so I was going back into that environment, even though I had changed my habits, my parents had not. And so I had to really put it into, I don't know, put into high gear as far as my self care. And I grew up or my parents actually live in the woods. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was so going back to their home and then being able to manage this, going back to this kind of like the lion's den and the world's falling apart and my life has totally changed. And I actually navigated it through it. And I'm so proud of the way I did. Like, I allowed myself to feel, but I also didn't derail. And, I cried and I got frustrated because I'm a human and you're allowed to do that. But I didn't let those feelings navigate how I was going to continue on. I actually got myself in a good place. And I was like, I have to say, it's also because I was in nature. And so I was like, I know it helps. I know it heals. And so then time goes on and things are opening up. And oh gosh, this is really actually, I just realized that the timing on this is a really difficult situation. I love to backcountry ski.
Oh,
So I'm sorry about what current events are.
yeah.
And so I actually was taking a avalanche safety course.
Mm,
So when I got into the backcountry to prevent what happened.
yeah.
And so we're on our way up to Mount St. Helens for practice, and I'm telling everyone in the car, I know nature heals. I just know it. I just have to figure out a way how I can teach this to people. I just can't say, oh, it's something that I know. Like, I'm not certified to tell people nature heals. And our guide, he laughed and he goes, well, I just happen to have my PhD in ecotherapy. He goes, what you're looking for is in this book. And he holds it up and is Liz Buswell. And that's who I ended up getting. I was like, okay, thank you. And I ended up getting my ecotherapy certification with her. And that's now how I'm actually able to integrate that into my offerings.
Okay, so in the depths of this terrible crisis that hit New York, you got out, and I know a lot of people were trapped there for months
Mm-hmm.
and couldn't really go out of the house and or whatever things were going on because of the pandemic raging in that small of an area. Got out to nature. You want to, you're dealing with your parents. A lot of stuff probably obviously coming up from the past and present, and then you kind of notice this healing effect. So that's when you decide to get the ecotherapy certificate. So, wow. So I do think that's a good metaphor for everyone listening, though, is that oftentimes in the darkest times, holding on to almost nothing sometimes. Like, we don't always have hope. We are just like, okay, this will probably pass. That's what a lot of people were thinking in the pandemic. This is probably going to pass in a couple of years. And it did, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, eventually to the point where it became an endemic disease and is now not as lethal, but although it is still for, vulnerable folks with immune system, stuff going on. But what you did there is you went into the unknown and left your life in New York. And that led to a positive thing, which
Mm-hmm.
is after you kind of got through it all and you realized that nature had been helping you, you went to get the ecotherapy certificate at Pacifica. And so I want to know just about maybe how that certificate changed you and maybe how, and a little bit more about, well, a little bit about you, how it changed you, but I also want to know about how it's helped you help people, get to that. Or well, that's too far. How it helped you. And then what is ecotherapy to you? I know we can all Google it, right? But I want to
Yeah.
know what it is to you, but how did it help you and what is it to you?
Yeah. So I'm going to take us back to humans and our engagement with nature. humans have always lived and had a close relationship with the natural world from the beginning of time. And then comes along, we create cities, which pulls us away from nature. And then we start seeing diseases, we start seeing illnesses. And then the more we get pulled away from nature, such with technology, the more we're seeing more illnesses. We're seeing burnout, we're seeing stress, we're seeing a lot of illnesses because of the modern world. So the antidote for that, if we're getting sick because we're being pulled away from nature, then all we have to do is turn around and connect with nature, reconnect that relationship again. And so the great thing about it is that nature is all around us. You can look outside and look at the sky. There's always a plant or a bird or something that you can just have an intention of connecting with. Even if you'll say you're all stressed out and you notice it and you're like, I don't want to be in this state. You can just, take a moment and either go to the window or step outside and take a deep breath, inhale deeply and then exhale calm and complete and just watch the clouds. Notice a bird. Can you hear the wind in the leaves? Are there raindrops coming down or can you hear a bird chirp? And those little things, they just give you a moment to bring you down into a calm state. Because nature automatically brings us into that. It triggers our parasympathetic nervous system and gets us into that calming
So
state.
let's reverse that a little bit. Because the science is saying that nature, when it's not a hurricane, obviously, just the outside world, like the park or like the woods or, depending where you live in the world, but something more nature made. A more natural area of not just cement everywhere, actually can help with our parasympathetic nervous system. That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
This is what you got from this ecotherapy certificate. And
absolutely.
Okay.
It's actually it's a mindfulness.
Okay.
And so mindfulness is a science.
Oh yeah.
Mindfulness is a science, it's ancient science of managing the mind. And so ecotherapy is a mindful practice. And so, yes, it is a science. And so nature, modern world takes your attention and it stresses you out. Nature takes your attention and puts you in awe. Like how many times have you looked at a sunset and just you felt your change in your state?
Yeah.
That's nature's doing its thing. It's making you feel safe.
Yeah.
Nature makes you feel safe and you're not judged. You're relaxed. It lets your body know that you can relax. You don't have to be on the go of like, what's coming my way next. And that just happens and so if you need a moment where you just need to take a breather, get yourself calmed down, use your senses, listen, smell, touch, even if you're outside and you have the opportunity to taste something, like taste a blueberry or whatever, like use your senses to have that moment. Give yourself a break. Get yourself out of that jacked up heart rate, tense. I gotta go. That's too much. Take a moment, connect with nature, get that parasympathetic system triggered, get yourself calm, and then you can move forward.
So essentially, for people in the middle of the city, you'd kind of have to take a little journey, maybe, right? And if you're already
necessarily.
So what do you suggest because I get it. If you're in the country or the suburbs or you're like on the edge of the park, it's a little easier to go outside. What do you do for us city folks that are in the middle of the city?
Absolutely. You can. Well, so you do a few things. You can actually bring nature to you.
Okay.
You can bring plants inside.
Oh.
Having a pet.
Yes.
Even if if you sit and let's say you have a cat or a dog and you're with them. You're not. It's undivided attention. You're hanging out and engaging with them. You know how joyful that is.
Yes. Oh, I do. I have 2 dogs.
Yeah, exactly. So there's.
I never thought of that as ecotherapy. They're from the natural world, and they're while they may have been trained by humans, they're still quite
They're nature. They're an
Nature,
animal.
right? They're reacting to the nature.
And what do
Yeah.
they do when you're with them? When they make you laugh,
Yeah. That's a
they
good
trigger
point.
your parasympathetic nervous system and bring
Oh,
you into
yes.
calm.
Yes.
Another really intimate way to have a relationship with nature is your food,
Hmm.
because we actually intake that, and and that food gives us our nutrients, gives us our energy. So really, like maybe having to just, if you can, grow some sort of your foods, just grow your herbs, grow your um, sprouts, or if you live in a city, you
You
can
can do that
just
in the windowsill. I've seen that. The
yeah,
sprouts in the windowsill. It doesn't cost that
yeah,
much to go buy seeds and some dirt and put it in a little trough in your windowsill. Or you could
and
put it in a
watch them
bowl.
grow.
You could put it in a bowl that you weren't using, you
Yeah.
know?
And then watch them grow. And then when you put them on your sandwich, really feel that flavor, and you actually harvest those food. I mean, that's so simple, but that little moment is nurturing yourself
Hmm.
and taking care of your body and your mind. And it does make a difference.
Wow, that's some pretty good tips. Now, I do live in the city, and what I've been able to do is there's some nearby parks or some natural areas, or go up in the building I'm in right now. I can go onto the roof and look at the sunset, which I actually find quite
Yes.
useful at night, and it's rarely beautiful. And actually, it's funny when I go up there sometimes at night, the like 7 or 10 other people will come up there, look at the sunset, and then leave. You know what I mean? Because it's a public area, this roof that we're all sharing. It's
Yeah.
not like a house. So okay, so that is some good stuff. So for that, and ecotherapy can be, like you said, animals just going in the natural world. Obviously, in Oregon, it's a little bit easier if you're not in the big city to go outside into the woods and kind of calm yourself and kind of stand there and feel the nature around you. But what do you feel like, before we get to how you help people, but what do you feel like ecotherapy is for you personally in your life?
Oh, I love this question. And yeah, I've actually, you asked me that and I kind of forgot. So deep down inside, I am an environmentalist.
Mm.
I truly love this beautiful planet, and it is a gift. I mean, it's so incredible, this ecosystem that's so full of life and what it can do, and it needs our help. Um, and so, actually, deep down inside for me, um, I know that if we help people connect with nature, that first of all, it's going to help them feel better about themselves, and they're gonna feel, they're gonna be calmer, they're gonna have clarity. With that, they'll build their confidence because they put themselves, so when that state, they make really good decisions for themselves,
Mm.
and that ripples out because they're not making decisions solo. They make decisions with their family, with their community, with their coworkers. So if they're bringing a calm, steady person into these relationships, it ripples out, and so they start having these calm relationships,
Mm.
and then helps other people feel better. And then we all of a sudden, as a community, we actually start making better decisions and take better actions for the planet. Because if we're connecting with it, we understand its value, how it helps us heal, how it brings us beauty, how it's so important in our lives. And so I feel like if we, as it starts with the individual taking care of themselves, and then let that ripple out, and then it becomes a force. So
So
I
go ahead, keep going. Yeah.
no, so I do this for the planet, to be quite honest. I mean, I love helping people, I truly do, but I also love seeing the connection that people have with the planet, and the shift when they realize how valued, they love it, and they want to care for it just as much.
Well, that's really beautiful. I think that is currently one of the things that is still free, right? Is that there are natural areas that one may be able to access. Oftentimes cities have parks, or maybe you go outside into a natural area, and that connection is only time. It's not necessarily usually admission, right? To do that. And that's something anybody can do. And then
Mhm.
that, like what you said, affects the nervous system, which affects us, our sense of being able to be connected, and then we're going to make better decisions, like you said. and that's a difficult thing to do in today's environment with so many people, uh, spending a lot of hours on technology, right? Which has been
Yeah.
going on since television was and radio were invented, but now is much more sophisticated. So the environment and the planet and the world, um, beautiful, diverse, incredible, right? And when you're in the city where humans create their little cultures and environments, in a bit more dense of a way, you don't have all the creatures and the trees and the natural fauna that you have out there. So I think,
But
go
you
ahead.
do, though.
Yeah.
Not it's not as abundant, but even like you said, like you can go to a park
Yes.
and sit on a bench. And another thing that you can do is just close your eyes
Hmm.
and listen. And sometimes even when like I'm traveling and I'm in a hotel and I feel like I'm in concrete jungle, you can play a playlist of
Hmm.
sounds of birds chirping and wind and close your eyes and you can go to that space.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's not as abundant, but again, nature is either it's everywhere, or
Right.
step outside, or you can bring it to you. Um, and so you do have that option
So it's
when you're in
about
the city.
it's just, yeah, I was kind of making like the amount, but you're right. It can be anywhere. It's about your perspective and how you're looking for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that it can be refreshing and renewing and also help the nervous system, which helps us make more connections. It can be a healing force. I remember at a time in my life when I was very stressed out, I used to live in the city of Chicago, and I would go on to the lakeshore area, where my work was. I worked in the northern part of Chicago at the time, and I went up there and I would spend, I called it like a meditation, I guess, but I would spend 15 or 20 minutes just staring out into the lake, which is
Hmm.
big lake. It looks like the ocean, except there's, obviously not, but you can't really see across it. And I would feel a sense of calm by just
Hmm.
staring at the lake and just not having any phone distractions or anything else going on. And eventually, I feel like I did it so many times, um, that it became kind of programmed in me. And so I didn't even know that was maybe ecotherapy I was doing to myself. I didn't really realize that. I just felt that connection. And so then later on in my life, when I was on the West Coast more, I would be drawn to bodies of water, and to
Hmm.
kind of like relax. It made me relax to look at something bigger than myself. When you're looking at the horizon of the ocean or a lake or even just a river, it's bigger than you, right? And so but it can also make you feel connected to the planet. And
Yes.
and what I and this is a fact. I mean, the planet is mostly ocean. It is not mostly land, and people don't realize that we live on
Yes.
a very small portion of the entire square footage of the planet, right? And so I think we get caught up in our small day-to-day things, and it's important to reconnect to where we came from, which is
Absolutely.
nature.
Yeah. And you were having, that was your ecotherapy moment.
Yeah.
Do you still get out and have a moment with water?
Not as much right now because of where I'm at. Part of the year I'm in Arizona for my partner's work, and part of the year I'm in Michigan. When I'm in Michigan, I can, but I'm
Hmm.
often working too much. But I live only 25 minutes from Lake Michigan right now in Michigan, so it's accessible, and right now, there's plenty of free parks, and there's a law that says even if you own private property on the lake, the first 10 feet or something like up from the lake is actually public property. So you can walk along the beach of the entire state
Oh,
for
that sounds awesome.
without trespassing. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
So
great thing to
now
know.
people will tell you you're trespassing, but you're technically not according to state law. You just have to stay close to the lake. But yeah, I do get out there sometimes, and I do find that connection. So I do find that, and going to the parks. There's a lot of good hiking in Arizona and Michigan. Hiking in the mountains sort of area in Arizona, and in Michigan it's more forest based, but it's very very nice and quiet. And there are sometimes people raised in the cities that have never really done that. Like no one ever
No.
taught them that they could just go do that, go on a walk. And that was actually interesting and fun. And not only that, well, as a kid, you think, is this what's going on? Where the animals, maybe, you're more interested in that than mindfulness. But as an adult, right, it can be helpful for anyone
Hmm.
really. But I was just thinking
Hmm.
about adults in general. So let's talk about how you've been using mindfulness and ecotherapy to help people, maybe all of it, the stuff, the retreats, the past, the hands-on, and now online.
Sure. Um, so it is everything I do guide is mindfulness with nature as the number one tool. And first, actually, I wrote a book called Your Morning Ritual: Mindful Habits for Peace and
Mm.
Resilience. And that I wrote before I got my ecotherapy certification. And after I got my
Oh.
certification, then I went back and rewrote it. And so a lot of those practices are the frameworks, what I teach in my retreats, but also in my online community and the course there. And even on my website, I have a bunch of free resources. That is, again, it's mindfulness with nature as the tool to help you calm. It's everything that I share
Hmm.
comes from this framework of simple. Nothing's complex and attainable. So most things I don't say you don't need time, you just need a quick moment.
Mm.
And if you're feeling stressed, you can calm yourself in 30 or in 60 seconds. That doesn't take much time. And so everything I teach is about bringing it in accessible into your daily life so that you can do it a little bit here and a little bit there consistently. And then the more and more you do it, the better you feel, the more you find ways to bring it into your life. And then you just eventually just become more and more calm, and have a better relationship with yourself and have a better relationship just with others and the planet. So that's my MO. That's what I teach. That's what I guide.
That's very nice because it is actually well needed in a time of a lot of stress and change, partly due to technology. We've seen a lot of rise. I don't think it's any false correlation to say that the years that the smartphones were released, all of a sudden we have skyrocketing rates of depression and anxiety among children, right?
Hmm.
And we know
Absolutely.
that smartphones were sort of just given to children. They weren't really regulated until even now. They're starting to the states are starting to ban phones in the classroom. It's like, oh really? But they gave everyone child laptops, which is a whole other problem because then they're not learning to write with their hands, right? Which is
Hmm.
and those basic skills. So, um, however, I think proliferation of technology and social media has caused a mental health crisis in children. Partly, it's partly because of other reasons too. And connecting with nature and these little micro moments, I guess, is what I'm kind of getting from you, can build into a larger ability to regulate one's nervous system. Is that what I'm hearing from you? Not,
Absolutely.
yeah,
You,
okay,
you nailed it.
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Because your cue, it's like a cue, right? Like, let's take a bad habit for a second. Have you ever worked with a cigarette smoker? A person who
um,
smokes cigarettes, like a client?
no,
You can't
no one,
reveal identity. Okay, never
well,
mind.
no one's come to me
Uh-huh.
with the intention of wanting to quit smoking.
I see.
Yes.
Well,
So,
I just had an analogy. So
right.
I once worked with a person who smoked a lot. And I'm not the doctor. I'm not treating them for smoking, but I was treating them about the fact that they were quitting smoking. And there's a lot of side effects that happen when you stop nicotine. There's depression, mood swings, bad dreams, all these sort of things, right? And nicotine is, of course, a vasoconstrictor. So it constricts your blood vessels. It could cause like really bad issues in your heart, and your lungs, your brain, and all this stuff, capillaries. So when they finally quit and they had gone about 90 to 120 days without smoking cigarettes and not vaping either, not chewing, nothing, nothing, right? They were finally
Hmm.
on their path. I said, what are you missing most about smoking? And they said, I'm missing the mental break. I said, what?
Mm.
And they said, well, I used to just go outside 7 to 10 times a day away from everyone. And I would have 2 or 3 minutes before I even lit up. And then I had 8, depending on the type of cigarette, 6 to 8 minutes smoking a cigarette and sitting there and contemplating my life. And it was actually, that part was helpful. The contemplation, the getting away, the going outside. And so actually, it was funny that you say this about this micro thing. I didn't even realize this, but you're connecting the dots for me. Is that I said, well, could you set your clock on your phone? Because they have a job that's quite busy, but they have the ability to, they aren't working with people all day. So they have the ability to kind of get up from their desk. And I said, could you go outside and take a notebook and write down thoughts and maybe chew some gum while you do that? And they said, well, I never thought of that. And then I mean, I don't know if they said exactly, but they told me the next week they started doing it. And they were like, oh my God, it was like I had my smoke breaks back, but I wasn't smoking.
I love that.
And they told me they are like addicted to this now. And I don't know what they're calling it. I mean, it's a joke. They said that I'm addicted to this now, but that was a joke. They're not actually addicted to it, to write. But they said it's improving their mental health by going out and taking these 10-minute breaks. And then I thought about it further and just now. And I thought about, where are they taking the breaks? And I happen to know that their job is near a natural area. So I actually wonder if they were, I'll have to ask them, but I wondered if they were going over there and maybe like looking at nature. But it wasn't ecotherapy that I was promoting. I was just promoting like, well, what could you do? Because you miss these breaks, right?
Yeah. Because it's taking that moment. And
right.
There's the subtle shift between the two of them. First of all, it's like you can still go outside. If you could go outside to smoke, you can still. So,
but they weren't. They weren't. They were just sitting there at their desk, at their computer.
But that's brilliant to say you can still go outside.
Yeah.
But the first time they were going outside for the cigarette, for the nicotine, was to hide from something. The nicotine is that's usually bad habits. They're trying to hide from something, either a past pain or a current pain.
It relieves pain too. Nicotine calms you down for most people.
Right. So they're going to hide from something. But once they've gotten that substance out of their system, and so they no longer needed it to try to hide from that pain. And then now they're going outside to meet their pain.
All their
because
thoughts.
they're journaling. That was a brilliant move on your part, by the way, to get them to journal.
I just thought of it. I just said, well, you could bring a little notebook outside and write down your thoughts because they also, because it came up because they were also saying, I used to have so many good creative thoughts when I was smoking. And I was like, aha, who says you can't? And it's actually funny because the fact that they had this habitual need to go outside, it was not difficult for them to go outside. They just had to set a clock because they had no nicotine craving anymore. The craving drove them to go outside. And now they set a clock, once an hour or every other hour or something. And now it's like I think about this behaviorally. It wasn't difficult for them to do it. So it's like almost turning a bad habit into a positive habit for your health.
That's absolutely what you did. They had the habit of going. You just redirected the intention.
Yeah, exactly.
And the intention has a beautiful ripple effect.
Aha. You got right there.
Yeah. That
intention.
Was the pivot.
Well, I want to talk about intention because we're pivoting, and I love that you went off on you like the story, but I know that you are a person that helps people with intention because mindfulness is actually like cultivating a habit of intention, isn't it?
Yes.
And ecotherapy, and what was your book? Your book's all about your morning ritual,
mindful
habits for peace and resilience. So I want to know a little bit about your take on intention and how you utilize it, and then we'll maybe talk about your program that you're doing.
Sure. So the reason actually I call it a ritual instead of a routine, because a routine is something you have to do. Get up at 4 a.m., go to the gym, watch the sunrise, journal, have your tea. Like you could do that. But that's a checklist. That's if you just did that every day on autopilot, it's not really doing anything for you. You're not in it. You're not there. It's all about the intention. It's all about, what am I doing right now? I'm taking care of myself. And that's the difference, because a ritual means that there's a purpose behind it. And when you have that purpose, it's that drive. That's what keeps it sacred to you. That keeps it something that you have a relationship with, and that helps you keeping you motivated to keep moving forward.
Wow. Yes. So
Mhm.
moving forward, that's something. What would you say without revealing identities? Is that something people are coming to you for, or are they more coming for the calm?
They come
Or
for the calm.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you're go ahead. Yeah, tell me more about that.
No, because when I was living in New York City, and I used to teach yoga, or I'd host
Hmm.
outdoor yoga in Central Park, and so it was free yoga in Central Park. I got a great following. People came from all over the world to come practice yoga with me, and I'd always ask them afterwards, what got you here? And I would say 90% of the time, people are like, I just want to feel more calm. And this is
Mm.
pre-pandemic. And so I feel like I got a really good understanding of what people are really wanting. And it's, tired. People are tired of being stressed out, and they're tired of hurting, and they want to be able to, it's exhausting. They want to be able to have more joy in their lives. They want to be able to, instead of focusing on the bad, they want to focus on the good and live that life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good incentive to come in. And I
Hmm.
feel what I'm sensing is teaching yoga, teaching ecotherapy, teaching mindfulness, it's sort of helping your mind find a more gentle pathway to navigate your personal life versus kind of just letting things happen and all of a sudden reacting, a lot. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So we're human. And so something happens to us, something shocks us, or we're going to have an instant reaction. That's just life. If someone spooks us, we're going to get startled. But when you are in your line is calm, and something happens to you, you get startled, you're going to be able to take a moment to get back to that baseline of calm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to be able to take a breath. And instead of reacting to the moment, you're going to be able to respond. Because if you're stressed out and you're tense and something happens, you don't have a moment to come back to that calm, and so you're going to react.
Mm.
And reaction is usually driven fight or flight. It's not a really take a moment and figure out what to do best.
Right.
So when you're calm and life happens, because it does, that's just the way life is. There's no avoiding it. When you're calm and life happens, you can just have that moment. Okay, I got to take a deep breath. Bring your heart rate down. Get calm. Okay, how can I navigate this the best way? How can I move forward with love for myself, for my family, for my friends, my community? How can I do this in the best way possible for the outcome for all? That's what my that's to me the best thing about mindfulness. It's about being able to navigate using your thoughts, using your mind in the best way possible, not letting your emotions control you, but you navigating with your thoughts.
Wow, that's wonderful. Do you do you have a feeling that it's easier for humans to love when they're in parasympathetic mode versus sympathetic reaction?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Humans want, I mean, you can see it. I don't know if you noted, if you were aware of there was the monks that recently they walked from somewhere, I want to say Fort Worth, Texas, all the way to Washington,
I didn't
D.C.
know that, no.
They just finished. They did it, and it was like over 2,000 miles. They did it in 110 days. And they were walking actually through the route, just took them through the South. And when you first started out, no one was really following them. Like the first few days, they were the only ones out on the road. In fact, actually, by mistake, one of their monks actually got hit by a car by mistake because there was nothing around them. Eventually, they got to support and everything like that. But it went from nothing to thousands and thousands of people walking with them on the side of the road, offering. And what was most inspirational to see, or for me, the most touching to see, is the people on the side of the road breaking down in tears
Oh, wow.
because they wanted that so much. They really, really want it. And they're in the freezing cold. It was snow, it was rain, people bundled up and still made the effort to get out to watch these monks who are walking for peace. And to me, that is because that's our state. Our natural state is peace. We come into this world in peace. And then we are taught stress. Then we are taught, these expectations that we put on ourselves and others. It's all taught. That's all gives us that stress. And that's not our natural state. So I think people want to go back to what it's like to be a human and then to be back into our calm place. I think it's a conscious shift that's about to be taking place.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I definitely think people are seeking it. And
Yeah.
I think that my personal opinion is that another statistic on the rise is professional burnout. That's been happening in a lot of industries, have at least been written about in the last 20 years. And I know that we have more productivity according to measurements than we've ever had from workers working regular jobs. And I wonder how much longer people can sustain that before
You can't.
you can't keep pushing that hard, right? So it's like, how do we incorporate, and that's another podcast, but how do we incorporate some of these principles into the work and lives of people? Now, I know individually we can have the opportunity, and that's what you do, is you help individuals make their way. But I wonder, I think it would be interesting, but if an individual who was heading up a company started implementing some of these ideas from ecotherapy and mindfulness into
I think it's out there. I think people are
workplace.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think I don't think I'm the black sheep. I don't think I'm the only one. I think the pandemic definitely changed people. They were, when you take nature away and people were put in their rooms alone, and they came out of that saying, I really want nature. Some people it stuck with and it continued on. And it's definitely, yeah, people are understanding the value of it and wanting it in their day-to-day life. And also, there's the thing that you give people the moment to take a break, they become more, there's the bottom line, they become more productive. They become actually more creative when you give them that time to let their brains kind of rest. And when they are able to just calm down and then they can come back, there's actually more productivity that way. So whatever the incentive is it just to help people feel healthier and have more nurturing lives, or is it more productivity? It's kind of weaving into our culture. I believe it is.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm hoping so. That would be great for everybody involved. So how do you help people? I know you got your book, you've led retreats. Can you tell me a little bit about, well, let's talk about the book is available. You can get that book. Where can you get that book?
You can either find it at Barnes and Noble website, or you can go to my own website, carrieasby.com.
Okay.
But right now I'm focusing on, I think I mentioned earlier that I had my coaching was, and when I was in New York City, I was very hands-on. Got to be involved with people. And then the pandemic, I kind of pivoted and I went online, which was a great solution, but I'm missing the community. And so I'm rebuilding a community online. It's Step into Self-Love. And there's a course and there's resources, but I want to be able to create a place where if you're going through life, you're feeling overwhelmed, you want to be able to change your state, you want to be able to reset, get your calm, get your nervous system using nature, and you want to be around like-minded people so you can have, even though you're on your own path, you don't have to do it alone. I really want to create that community. So I'm starting that up where it's the platform, everyone can come, log in, have the resources, excuse me, have the resources, and have that support. So that's really what I'm focusing on right now.
So you're sort of
And
building a community with tools and resources. Do you offer like coaching or what classes or what exactly do you do on there?
yeah, so there's different tiers, and the first tier is you have access to the online meet and greet where I'll show up and we basically share like what put a smile on your face today. Like let's
Mm.
just talk about positive things. So
Hmm.
that's once a week. There is the online course, and then about every other day or every third day, I provide resources. Like here's a new meditation, or here's a
Mm.
new try this tea. It's been really good for me. You might try it too. Yeah. So the first level is really about the community. And then the second levels, there's two more, are just if you want a little more hands on with me, there's some more one on ones that we can do. But really, the first level is just about let's just create this place where you can turn to. Because it's everything that I used to do, I still do, that
Hmm.
got me through, that got me to where I am to. Like, this is the stuff that works.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that I went from my rock bottom moment and totally turned my life around. And now I can navigate my life with calm. And this is because of all the stuff that I guide. So I want to bring people in and I want to be able to teach it to them, but I don't want to be just solo. I want everyone to get together because community is awesome. When you have people that you can turn to and be supportive, be supported. Um, that's my vision right now. That's my I'm hoping, or just not hoping. I am going to create this year is this place where we can come together and we can meditate and we can watch rainbows and we can calm, we can get ourselves in our best place. We can share our goals, share our dreams, and support each other.
I love that. So it's like an online supportive community. Do you have a name for it?
It's well, the link is in my website. It's called Step Into Self Love.
Okay.
I use School, which is SKOOL,
Okay.
as the platform. But I would think the easiest way is going to go either to my website, or even on my Instagram or
Hmm.
Facebook page or LinkedIn. They all have the links to the course there as well.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. School is kind of a community platform.
Yeah, it would be a long time to find. It would be hard to find it through there.
Yeah. So go to your website and that's how you kind of utilized it. But okay,
Yes.
excellent. Um, that's so cool. And then you do obviously one-on-ones with people if they need it and things like that.
Hmm.
So I know that you don't have, but you have led retreats in the past. But could we talk a little bit about the benefits of maybe participating in a retreat for people?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of my retreats take you out into the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
Yes, so you have to
nice.
put your phone
I
down.
love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You can bring
exactly.
your phone for the camera, but it's not going to work.
Yes.
And yes, it is. It's about being away from any distractions,
Yeah.
and then you're creating community. You're around like-minded people there, almost with the same intention
Hmm.
of let's take care of our mind, let's take care of our body, and let's nurture ourselves. And it's a day. Most of them, like the one in Wyoming, we would get up and have a morning meditation and journaling. And
Mm.
then we actually have a small breakfast, and then we'd go horseback riding
Mm.
through the mountains and just see these incredible views, look at wildlife, listen to the cowboys tell stories,
Yeah.
and then come back, have a family sit down lunch, and then a rest moment, and then we
Hmm.
have a evening or almost a sunset yoga practice, surrounded by the mountains. Horses are walking by out in the field. And then after dinner, we sit around the campfire and share stories and look at shooting stars.
Mm.
Um, and during the whole time, I do have practices that are ecotherapy, and I do have lessons.
Mm.
And the intention is so that they have a week where they can really just immerse themselves away from the modern world, just that stresses them out, and get them completely in a place that is calming, low vibration, nurturing, just really have a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to teach them so much, so many different practices that they're not going to take them all home, but they're going to take their favorites home. And by doing it each for a week, every day, if they really like it, they'll continue to do it. So then they continue on their path of taking care of themselves. And it's just seeing, the best part is seeing transformation. You're just seeing this, people with their shoulders up and their clenched jaw, and then slowly, it comes down and the smiles become more just at ease. You also see communities. You see these, people kind of show up and they're nice to each other, but they're not so sure. And the next thing you know, you see people who weren't even looking at each other in the beginning, who are now walking arm in arm, and the world gets smaller. and everyone just becomes, this loving community, and these friendships, I know they continue on. And it just makes me feel good to see that happen.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I hope that you can get one of these communities co-located in a single place, but I'm glad that you're creating a community which is convenient for people to be able to do it online and then do their own work from that. Sounds like you're supporting people doing their personal work, ecotherapy, mindfulness, and all of that as well. So yeah, this all sounds good. What would you say, kind of like, I guess, more like closing wisdom, because you have yoga, you've got the retreats, now you're doing this more of this coaching and the community things. What is some advice you have for listeners who are like, well, how do I slow down, or how do I start doing this, or like do I have to get to rock bottom first? You know what I mean?
No. First of all, it's awareness. If you're like, hey, I don't like my state and I want to change, then that's your first step down the path.
Right.
And so you're already there. So if you're asking that question, you figured it out. You're heading down. You just have to keep walking. And I think one of my favorite lessons right now is because, the concern is I don't have the time. I get it. It's so hard. Life is always pulling at us. And it's like, where do you find the time to do this? And it's not, you really don't need the time. You just really need a moment. And when you take a deep breath in, inhaling deeply through your nose, that is known, you're going to bring your heart rate up. But when you exhale calmly and complete and let out a little sigh through your mouth and let that exhalation be longer, go. That actually brings your heart rate down.
Oh, yes, I've read that. That long exhalation is such a simple tool, but
yes,
and that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that little sigh, because we talked about the earth being 90% water. The humans, we're 90% water too.
Yeah.
We're vibration.
Yeah.
So when you let out that little sigh, that vibrates through you, and that is a stress release. You don't have to do it, but it helps. But it is inhaling through your nose and then sigh it out. And if you can just do that with me right now, you can notice.
Let's do it.
You can feel it. So okay, inhale deeply and sigh it out. How do you feel?
It feels much better, because I was just coming in from a long day of work before we were doing this interview. And
how long did that take?
Less than 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Maybe. There you go. So whenever you just need to get yourself calm again, that's all it takes. And then you do that throughout the day. It's going to keep on building.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. I love this reminder. And I think it can be a reminder to everybody. And, on a podcast, it's sort of like, I call it the sampler plate. So this is Carrie's, what she's into. And these are things that are, like you said, are not difficult to master. If you've heard other episodes, I've interviewed the yin yoga expert and other people that are into getting into nature and really making that a practice. And I think that is an important thing for young people as well, of all ages, but for young people to start developing a habit of learning how to use relaxation techniques, learning how to use breath techniques, getting out into nature and learning how to use it as a tool. But also, if you're in the city, just getting outside and learning to find a small tranquil area, and these small moments make up your life. Your life is not just some story going towards a movie ending. It's all the moments. And so I think it takes a lot of courage and skill in the way that our world just keeps on, at least in the United States, it seems to be like speed up, hurry up, and I think it's obviously agitating people, and it causes them to be in the sympathetic nervous system. So to be able to practice the parasympathetic, not only are there so many health benefits that we don't have time to talk about, you could just Google it, but I think also the creativity to me is one of the most interesting side effects, is that you can be creative about issues that are going on in your life, or you could be creative about a problem or something like you're creating, maybe art or crafts or music or a poem or just journaling or something like that. Or like you said, movement, dancing, yoga, things like this that humans have always done for wellness, basically, to feel good. Because it comes back to what the lady said to you. I think it was a lady in Central Park. You didn't say, actually, I assumed, but that they said they just wanted to feel better, right? Yeah. And that's why they came to the yoga class. So
yeah. Well, it's a much better life to live when you're in a good state than when you're in a not so good state, and it's more fun. So, yes. And someone was, I think I read somewhere, they said self-love, which is what it is. You're taking care of yourself. Self-love is the quietest, most effective revolution out there, because you start with one person becoming calmer and more relaxed and a good state. If you do that to yourself, that's what you're bringing into the world. And so it's guilt-free. You get to take care of yourself, knowing that you're making the world a better place. It's as good as it gets.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I feel like it's a great spot to kind of end. And so I'm going to have all of your links to the online community, to the book, to your website, and all of that in the show notes for people to check out. And I really appreciate your time and bringing this message to the larger audience.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my message, and this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Carrie.
Yeah.
And there you have it. This has been another episode of the Intentional Clinician Podcast. If you are enjoying the show, please leave us a rating on iTunes or share the show with people you know. I would surely appreciate it. As some of you know, I am passionate about preventing future violence in the United States. I have started a nonprofit with colleagues called the National Violence Prevention Hotline, which is a 501c3 organization. We are endeavoring to gain funding and collaborators and volunteers so that we can start a 24/7 hotline and chat line to reach potential perpetrators before they may act violently. It is a bold effort to curb violence and save innocent lives, by working to connect with potential offenders while they are in the planning stages of violence, help to de-escalate them, and provide resources so that they can get appropriate professional help. The National Violence Prevention Hotline is looking to open up a conversation about violence in society, the causes, and the solutions. You can learn more by visiting our website at violencepreventionhotline.org. You can get involved by writing your congressperson from our website, sharing it with your network, or even donating to the cause. If you are looking for an EMDR International Association consultant, I am a consultant and I can help provide 20 hours that you need to become EMDRIA certified. Just check out the show notes and send me a message and see if we're a good fit to work together. If you are in need of counseling, do not hesitate to make an appointment with a local counselor in your area. You can also make an appointment with the excellent clinicians at Health for Life Counseling in Grand Rapids as part of the Trauma Informed Counseling Center of Grand Rapids by visiting www.healthforlifegr.com. And if you are in the state of Michigan, you can also schedule a telehealth appointment. The recording you just listened to consists of the personal opinions of Paul Krauss and his guest, and while these are based upon the literature they have read and the experience in their respective fields, the information on this podcast should not be viewed or thought of as the definitive opinion on any subject. Listening to this podcast is not a substitute for treatment. If you're in a crisis, please call 911 or the National Crisis Line at 988. Support your local bookstore by shopping at bookshop.org. That's www.bookshop.org. It donates a percentage of sales to local bookstores all across the United States, which I think gives character to our cities and a place to hang out and a place to explore. You can order from the comfort of your own home online while supporting businesses near you. If you are a therapist and you are not involved in your local counseling or therapist or social work organization, please get involved to at least pay dues so that we can have lobbyists help keep mental health care accessible at the government level, and also expanding into schools and other places that need it. And also, if you didn't know, counseling organizations and professional organizations are working to keep us from becoming gig workers for a lot of large corporations who are coming in and trying to buy up local counseling agencies or basically pay you what they pay for people to deliver food to your house. So, get involved. Until next time on The Intentional Clinician, I wish you all a safe and peaceful week.